Hot button.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Hot Button special. It's officially December now, so what's the major discourse going around on Reddit and Twitter? Game of the year.
It's November.
Yeah, no, it's not December. Jesus Christ.
So for those who may not have seen, on Tuesday, November 19th, the Game Awards officially revealed their nominations commemorating the best in the field for the year of 2019. The Game Awards, of course, being a large-scale annual event created, produced, and hosted by veteran games journalist and presenter Geoff Keighley. Similar to
Death
our...
Stranding character.
Yes.
Best game, all best game is all this. I think it's all the awards. I'm in it.
Similar to our E3 episode, we thought a fun way to cover it, as well as take a short break from our usually scheduled programming, would be to kind of run through all the categories and their featured titles that we pitted against each other, while also choosing our personal picks of what we would like to see win, along with our bets of what we think most likely will win. Assuming everything goes well, this recording should be released on the 6th, 6 days before the ceremony itself goes live, the week after on the 12th. Happy birthday to me. And then we'll...
Doxing yourself,
Yeah, I
you
know.
idiot.
And then we'll get to see how wrong or right we were and how pleased or disappointed we end up. Then following that, we plan to come back to all you guys with a part 2 to see just how we scored, plus give a nice little rundown of the show itself. The Game Awards over the years has become an extremely popular venue for some heavy reveals. I think a lot of people forget just how big news can be on that day. So without further ado, I'm Randall Beatrice, here as always with Austin Blakesley.
Yo.
And Chris Anantuano.
Hey, Randall,
Yeah?
you know the best way to do an intro is just to say your social security number real quick. That's usually what most podcasts do.
I know your
Just-
mother's maiden name
Yeah.
already.
What if I wrote a list of my fears?
I can't steal your credit card with that.
All right, I'll write a schedule of where I am every day.
I already know
At a
that.
certain
That's not helpful.
Well, with that, who's ready to give some guesses and opinions?
I am. So we're doing our own opinions, right?
Yeah.
What would you say your least favorite game of the year is?
Oh, yeah, starting off?
I just need to know to
Wait,
formulate
game
my
of
own.
the year or overall game, period?
The worst game.
No,
you
he's saying
played
the
this
worst game
year.
he played this year.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't involve the categories.
Well, shit,
Yeah,
I wasn't,
I need to know Randy's so that I can decide on my game of the year.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this. Shit. Well, I mean, I have some of the most, disappointing games, but I wouldn't really rank those as, the outright worst.
All right. Well,
I
how about
assume
this?
you have one?
Think about it.
And we'll come back to it? Okay, all right. Oh, and I should have also stated that we will probably be going into some discussion of titles that sadly didn't end up on the official nominations list, and that we do not plan to spoil any more narrative-focused games either that we have to, you know?
For yourself, dude. I'm spoiling everything. No, I'm just kidding. Spoiling stuff would require me to actually play it.
Okay, so we have 30 categories here, including the esports ones that probably we won't get too deep into, but I will
Golden Boy.
I will still read.
Sorry.
I don't know what that is.
Is that your least
It's a
favorite
man.
game?
It's a man.
Are you spoiling esports?
Also, before we start, in case people aren't entirely familiar, the way these selections are chosen is by a jury of representatives from various gaming outlets, IGN, GameSpot, Giant Bomb, Polygon, Game Informer, Kinda Funny, etc., etc. Even outside sources from all over the world are included, too.
It's like an academy of sorts.
Yeah, it's like Eurogamer, Famitsu, Metro. It's actually kind of crazy. The full...
Not the actual Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, because that's another award show
Yeah.
that nobody cares about.
The full list of them is up on their site, and there are quite a few countries to scroll through. It's kind of wild. And
Name one country.
Malaysia.
Too long.
Uruguay.
I thought you were saying Europe.
Africa. Fuck.
And all of these judges will then vote amongst themselves, and unlike most other legitimate award shows, us average Joes get to vote too. So that's right.
Maybe that was a bad decision on their part.
There is an electoral game college that actually gets to decide.
Yeah. So based on the amount of people that are in your state,
And actually, EA does draw lines with their money that they
Yes.
get to decide who gets
let's
to vote
talk about
for
video game gerrymandering.
Basically, any of you listening right now can go online and join in the battle as well. Finally getting to tell all those pesky gaming news sites what you think.
As if all you degenerates already weren't in the comments for years.
Yeah. But all of our results will be tallied up together, only for us all to be disappointed. I'm kidding, but let's get to it, right? We are going to save the 2 biggest awards for last, just how they did in the live stream of how they were revealed.
All right, I'll start. Best narrative.
Yeah, I was going to say, this first category is actually kind of a doozy, and normally my favorite as well. FYI, we might spend a little bit on this one. First up is best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. We have A Plague's Tale.
And the nominees.
Sounds like the ESRB guy. I just saw him in that David McGuire no-clip documentary, like the M for mature.
Yeah, rated M.
We have A Plague's Tale: Innocence, Control, Death Stranding, Disco Elysium, and The Outer Worlds.
That Matt Damon movie.
I don't think anybody has thought of that movie since it came out. Now, unfortunately, I have only finished one of these games so far, but I can say that the award should not go to Control.
No.
Creating an intriguing world is one thing, but delivery is another. You know what I mean? And that universe is cool, and they kind of blow it with how that story is presented. The dialogue and performances for me fell real flat, and saving all of your best writing for things like optional emails just feels very antiquated in 2019.
Yeah, it was in 2014 when Destiny did it. I've only played 2 of these.
To be fair, Death Stranding can, to a lesser extent, be accused of the same thing.
They do that as well.
Those emails are very well written, and
that's
dialogue
cool.
Maybe not so much.
I love me some environmental storytelling, but that shouldn't be depended on for everything. Same with inner monologue, which obviously Control does a lot, because that lead character seriously never shuts the fuck up, while also not communicating enough out loud. I personally found that real annoying.
I hate you. What does he mean by that?
Is inner monologue a department at fucking Remedy?
Yeah.
I didn't really like story delivered that way, at least not in that sense. Well, at least I only played a couple hours of Control, where we can get into it because it comes up in more categories where it'll be relevant to talk about what we actually think about it later.
I wouldn't get too much into the gameplay.
The one I played the most of this is the one I think has the best narrative of them all.
They're going to say the Outer
Worlds.
God, that's going to happen a lot today.
Outer Worlds.
I've only played a few hours of that game. Hopefully it's not, I don't know, I feel like it would be harsh to use the word cliche, but I haven't gotten far enough to know if it kind of surpasses video game storytelling into just stories. Because the world building stuff.
I don't think
cool.
anybody. I mean, unless you have a case for somebody else doing that.
A little bit, but I mean, not of these. Because I think that Outer Worlds probably focuses on character stuff the most, which is
it's character stuff and situational. It's done things with writing I haven't seen in video games. Out of the gate, present you with a moral quandary, which I kind of like.
They do, yeah, and it's pretty conflicting. That game dabbles in the gray areas.
Here's what I'll say.
In
typical Oscar fashion, there are 3 of these games that are also up for Game of the Year. And that doesn't mean that Plague Tale and Disco Elysium can't win Best Narrative, even though they're not Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But I heard of Disco Elysium a week before these awards were announced.
That's a pretty recent one.
And
I've actually
don't know much about it.
Heard some divisive things on that one, but
yeah. And A Plague Tale: Innocence seems really cool.
It did look cool. I never got the chance to play it. I wanted to try it.
To me,
looked interesting and depressing.
I think that there are the 3 sub-awards to Game of the Year, which we'll get into later, so I'm not going to go through it all now. But Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, and Best Game Direction, I think one of those each should go to Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, and Control. And I think that the Outer Worlds should be the narrative one.
Yeah, I think if in terms of the way it's presented, wins. It's right there. There's no weird shit you have to go through. However, you can, but there was a lot of environmental storytelling in, I guess I'd say, New Vegas, which would be the other closest thing that Obsidian made.
Right, yeah.
There's not that much of it in this game. There is shit where you go through computers and you can see what happened here and all that shit, but the story itself is much more presented in talking to people and dialogue options. It's right there, and it's really well done.
Yeah, I really do want to see more of it, because I didn't want to sound too hard on Control. I do enjoy that game's audacity and weirdness, but
I think Control is definitely definitely deserving of some stuff that we're about to go through. I would not say narrative.
No, there's quite a bit I like about it that we can obviously talk about in other categories later, but narrative would not be one of them.
If I was going to do my prediction, I would say...
Because I was going to say Outer Worlds, personally.
I'm going to say Outer Worlds or Plague Tale. I'm going to go with Outer Worlds because I actually played it.
Okay. You think Plague's Tale is like the precious pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, like, we haven't talked about it yet, but Death Stranding, like, I'm sure many people will give me shit, and obviously I'm still far away from finishing it. I know you are as well. But of all these, it's the one that I found the most enticing in terms of, like, I just need to see where the fuck it goes. Like, its through line is certainly original.
We haven't finished it, and it could fall flat at the end.
It absolutely could.
I've heard reviews say that it does, and I've heard reviews say that it definitely delivers at the end, so it's all up in the air.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that game came out in November.
In the actual definition of narrative, like a series of interconnected events,
yes,
I would say I would give it to Outer Worlds.
I can absolutely
that's my
agree
prediction.
with that. Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, I also think Outer Worlds will win because I think it's the best option. Everybody hates Death Stranding. They're not going to give it to them.
Not for this one, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that will get its recognition elsewhere as well.
I agree. It's Outer Worlds is a shoo-in. That's my prediction. But then again, this Plague Tale game, I've heard a lot about it. You know, like you said, that does seem like it could be like a weird
I'm very
little,
curious about it.
This is it. It wouldn't surprise me if something else won, but I think Outer Worlds deserves it, and it'll get it.
Do we want to get into kind of things that we feel like maybe got snubbed a little bit?
Sure.
Because unless your choice is the same as mine, of the games that you have played this year, whether or not that they aren't on this list, what story clicked with you the most?
Halo 3, probably.
Story-wise?
Yeah, I mean, like, it really pulled it all together.
RE4.
It pulled it all together.
You said games I played this year, not games I came out this year. Finally played RE4 this year.
You did.
Pretty good narrative on that one. Actually, not really. Everything else about that game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But
I'd say if you just do the tag search tanks on Master Chief Collection, probably my favorite narrative of this year.
I mean, probably Outer Worlds. I haven't finished yet, but I hate capitalism, so goddamn much. Or Devil May Cry 5.
Really? Okay.
That game is stupid in all the best ways.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because one of the hats I was going to throw into the ring was actually Mortal Kombat 11.
You know what? Yeah. I forgot. Mortal Kombat 11 best narrative.
I think you put it the best also when you said it was like a combination of Avengers, Dragon Ball Z, and Back to the Future.
And Game of Thrones.
And Game of Thrones. Like, it's just so much fucking fun and probably the best campaign in a fighting game.
It delivers on the impossibly convoluted narrative of Mortal Kombat 9 and 10.
Yes.
In the best way.
Yeah. Though I'm going to say my true pick here, if you guys will give me permission to pour my heart for the next, like,
it's After Party.
2 minutes. It is. Is After Party? No, and not just this is fresh in my mind, but this is developed by, is it Night School?
Night School.
Yeah, the makers of Oxenfree, which was also a fantastic game. Mm-hmm. But part of what I was getting into about Control and to a much lesser extent Outer Worlds is how game stories are kind of like translated. It makes for a big difference or gap, and that's what I was saying, like between like how writing connects with something like gameplay and then how it just sort of, I don't know, it's hard to, but like removed from gameplay.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. And I'm not saying what's better or worse, just what kind of works better for me. Mm-hmm. I think The Last of Us is like masterful writing regardless of the medium. I mean, I like the gameplay in that game too. Well, I think something more like a Mass Effect is perfect for what it is in the venue of being a piece of interactive media. Like,
sure.
Yeah, like it's the same of like people just being like talking about which games should be movies, and it's like most of them don't work because they are designed for...
You're talking about how like the Death Stranding thing where people are throwing around that cutscene with that really stupid line of dialogue in it.
Yes. Yeah,
and I'm just like, it's a game. I just threw my piss at a ghost. Like, what do you expect?
Sometimes somebody's going to say some dumb shit, right?
Yeah. Well, I do think it's funny that people point that line out, and it's like, have you never played a Metal Gear game?
My piss, by the way,
Can love bloom on a battlefield?
Is entirely Monster Energy also.
Yeah. I mean, that's all Norman drinks, really.
Yeah.
But After Party is the game that most stuck with me this year. So, like, that's why I'm kind of referencing the former here, getting into those, like, points, is that, like, After Party to me is just great fucking writing. Like, the actual gameplay itself does take a back seat. But everything in the forefront of that game is, like, the thing it's prioritizing is extremely well handled, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think it's hilarious and fucked up and depressing and often all at the same time. And then kind of, like, juggling those tones is an incredibly hard thing to do. And not going to get into spoilers, of course, but it also like tackles certain themes and walks along certain thin lines that I don't think I've ever really seen like a game cover before. It's also hugely elevated by its like many performances that we will get into later, and I think that kind of went unrecognized, which is a shame, and it just didn't seem to hit with the same splash that, you know, their previous game sort of did. Otherwise, I just have one other shout out, and then we can move on. I'm sorry, storytelling is kind of like one of the biggest reasons I play games. But believe it or not, was
that's why, obviously. Like,
Yeah, dude.
but believe it or not, was Blair Witch. And it's funny because I actually talked to Dom about this quite a bit. But I know this
our
is
streamer friend and my roommate,
Yes.
Mr. Bob Dobb. Go follow him.
Yes.
Give subscriptions. He's a fun guy to watch.
I know this is like a niche thing, but that game did something that I feel like was practically impossible, and like no one fucking cares.
Yeah.
And it's that they made a video game out of source material, completely outdated source material, with so much respect and somehow didn't fuck it up. The actual lore in Blair Witch, the film, was always intentionally vague.
Yeah. Well, duh, that's how you make a good horror movie.
Exactly, yeah. Like, the sense of not knowing what was even truly going on is what made it so scary, right? And that's where those sequels went wrong. But this game did an absolutely stellar job of deeply exploring that, it feels weird to say universe, except doing it in a more personal way that also didn't ruin the mystery of it. Like, it's kind of an exceptionally and careful portrayal of PTSD and regret and consequence, like, as well as the feelings of anxiety and panic attacks. Like, it's kind of terrifying, and that stuff is very difficult to sort of tell through the medium of games.
Yeah,
like,
it looked really fucking good.
yeah, like
really well done.
It wasn't overly like exaggerated with that stuff. All it really takes is kind of one false step in with attempting to represent that subject matter, and boom, you've got like something people will declare as being very insensitive. And it's a shame because I think that stuff goes very unnoticed. Like, there are certain games that people like to campaign for having something to say about that sort of those sort of
yeah,
topics.
Halo
They
3
should
had
come
a lot
up with
to
a
say.
games for change category in order to highlight stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
Are we going to talk about this game yet again in that category? For
I
snubs?
guess I could.
Yeah.
I'll get it off my chest now, so I don't have to dive deeper into it, because I just don't think enough people really played it. And really,
What, the
why?
Blair Witch game?
Yeah, and really,
Yeah, which is weird, 'cause
I know,
it
but
looked-
kind of why would you? Like, I think it
I
looked
didn't
great.
play
And
it,
it was
but
on
I watched
stage at
somebody
EP.
play it.
Oh, totally. But I just more mean like in 2019, that is a strange pitch, and
Yeah.
it's also even stranger that they would go into those kinds of themes when the studio that did it has a history of mostly making spooky house sort of jump scare games, and I thought this one was just like much more particular. Like, even the like your doggy companion in that game is so much more than just like a mechanic, but like a real character in which you share like a fully in-depth like relationship with. It's like specifically designed for you to both help each other, like teaming up to face the monsters head on in that game rather than just hiding from them like in every other fucking horror.
Probably video game dog
ever.
of the year this year. Like, really.
Yeah.
Like, realistically.
But yeah, that's kind of what the entire theme really is, and it makes for a very like great and devastatingly sad kind of an experience. Like, I think it captures the feelings of like losslessness and like isolation very well, and like there's some cool puzzles and set pieces. But before anyone else listening responds that it's not great, I think it reviewed well, but not like didn't really get the scores that I would have liked to see. It is a small dev team, and it can be clunky and ugly at times. The final chapter is a bit excessive, and some other parts can be annoying. But I just kind of wanted to give it its story props here, so we can move on to more things that probably people likely care more about. But I promise the other categories will be a little shorter. I just kind of wanted to give those titles recognition and spread the word that more people should play them.
Surprise, Randy really cares about narrative.
Yeah. No, for real though. Play Blair Witch. It
Yeah.
looks really fucking cool.
And it's
play,
on Game Pass.
It is. It's like
exactly.
fucking free. So's After Party.
And play that
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
party game. That also looks very fucking cool.
It's awesome. Maybe play those
and
games
they're both
instead
in
of
digestible chunks.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're kind of
you can
much more
casually
shorter
beat them both
directed
in 2
experiences.
days, probably.
Yeah.
Less than a fraction of the time you'd spend on that 10,000th fucking Pokemon game.
Yeah, and those of you that
that
got
game
Google
sucks.
Stadia, play through that Mortal Kombat campaign with all that input delay. Sorry.
No, I was telling Randall one of their strategies is to raise the frame rate, like run it at such a high frame rate that by the time it gets to you, it's at a
Oh,
stable
that's
frame
funny.
rate. And that's just a weird technique. Like,
yeah.
that's one of their things they do. It's like run it like 110 FPS at the server, and then by the time it gets to you, it's like 60.
Oh, and I may have also would have thrown observation in there if it wasn't for the ending. I don't think it stuck its landing.
Yeah, that game's a little pretentious.
A little bit. But it is cool.
But it's very cool.
Our second category.
Best art direction.
Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. I like this category a lot, too. So we have Control, Death Stranding, Gris, or is it Gree?
Gree.
Sayonara Wild Hearts, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, got that title, and The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. 6 there this time.
Wait, what is this, 1999? 8?
So what do you guys think? This one's kind of a tough for me. I feel some kind of passion for almost all of these minus Sekiro, but...
All right.
So,
I was going to say Sekiro is probably my favorite aesthetic.
Okay. I haven't played it, but tell me about it.
I've played 2 hours of it, maybe, but that's not what it is. Like, I love their art teams. It holds a special place in my heart. One of my favorite pieces of aesthetic, not world building, like feeling, because it's half art, half narrative, is an anime, specifically the manga called Berserk.
Yes.
And it came out in the 80s, still running to this fucking day. It's incredible. It's got
There's some Berserk inspiration in there?
Well, that art team, Berserk is the inspiration for every sort of Souls, Bloodborne, fucking Sekiro, all of that shit. Because it's like putting like a mouth on a monster's stomach or something like weird shit like that.
It is unnerving.
That comes from Berserk. Like, he had this weird fucking art style. Like, you look at the demons in this books and they like are strange. You could put them in fucking a Dark Souls and it wouldn't skip a fucking beat. Same thing, you could put it in like one of these games and it wouldn't like...
Yeah.
Like, there's a fucking giant Yeti boss you fight, like, really fucking early, and it looks so fucking cool. Like, I don't know, I just love enemy... And enemy design included in art
enemy
direction,
design is cool.
Then absolutely, because, like, these games have such, like, a specific art direction and just, like, a misery to them that's, like, its own specific kind of, like, thing. Like, I know it's just, like, Dark Souls and Sekiro is just gray. It's just, like, gray and brown.
There's a right way to use those colors.
Yeah,
but you've convinced me that it's something that it's earned its place there.
That gets me into what I want to talk about, which is Link's Awakening. Adorable looking game.
Yes, yeah. Are you going to talk about...
that was designed for them.
What do you mean?
Those enemies existed already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a cheat.
Everything existed already.
Yeah.
And there's even, like, still frames in the Game Boy game that, like, people have posted screenshots of where Link looks like he does in the game.
Right.
Minus, like, the beady, like, Frankenbash.
What did people compare that to?
eyes.
Like the Christmas...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Heat Miser shit. Or, you know, Frosty the Snowman or whatever.
See, I thought you were going to mention that... I know folks were on both sides of that game's kind
I
of
think
look.
it looks cool for sure.
I do, too.
You want me to get real antagonistic about it?
I thought you were going to talk about the frame rate, the way that it moves.
They made a Zelda game, and then they put an Instagram filter on it.
Oh,
you want me to get into it?
damn.
Yeah, that's how it feels a little bit.
I mean,
it's not that bad, but also is the constant frame rate drops. Is that part of their art direction?
That's what I wonder. Yeah, because
it's art direction, right? It's not technology.
Yeah.
So technically, I mean,
the tilt shift stuff and like the way things blur is really cool.
We
but
could talk about Control too. I mean, Control runs like shit on the base consoles.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get into technical stuff.
Okay,
here,
then I'll leave that out then, because when it moves, it loses a lot.
I don't know. There's something about saying art direction and looking at the 5 other games in this category. I just think, like, I can't possibly give it to Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Because it already existed.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a skin, or not that there's not a lot of hard work that didn't go into it, and it looks incredible. It's just it takes a little bit away from it when you're just like reskin. Well, it's like if we gave it to like
here's the funny thing,
like Skyrim remastered or something.
It's funny you mention that, because not to get ahead of ourselves, but the next category, I have Zelda beef in that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but before we get too deep into that,
I said before that these art direction, and narrative Control, Death Stranding, and Outer Worlds each deserve a spot.
Would this be the one for Control?
Definitely deserves art direction.
Looks cool. It really does.
Because
that's all it has going for it.
Specifically with like if it wasn't for the presentation of that game, it would not have gotten the props that it did. And whoever designed
Remedy does do that well. That is
whoever designed the presentation of that game. Props to them. Also, though, enemy design and stuff like that, they're guys with guns.
Yeah,
there's
well,
a lot of cool machines
there's some cool monsters.
and shit.
Yeah.
The whole thing's about like the room flipping, and then when you like purge one of those control points, the room like Transformers folds away and it looks like a normal room again.
I do like that.
There's a lot of
I like
really
that too.
great
I like the look of the
art
facility
direction
and the
control.
weapons you use, even the UI, like the way title cards come up and stuff like that. Because the funny thing is, while I absolutely love Death Stranding's aesthetic, because I just like the way, I don't know, I just like the way that, because it's similar like to Metal Gear as well. Like there's a very mechanical sort of like combination with fantastical in his games that I think is nice to look at, but I will
tough.
give my
Death
pick to
Stranding
Control
does
as
really
well.
have really good art direction, and since I may be the only one that has ever played either of the other two,
A lot of pseudo-military stuff in his games.
I guess
Yeah, I'm looking
I'll
at
get into
pictures
those.
of the
Green?
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Yeah,
It looks fucking cool.
It is
Sayonara
cool.
Wild Hearts. It's made by a company called Simogo, who does mobile games. They did Device 6.
Oh, I heard good things
And-
about Device
yes.
6 as well.
So that game is like some pseudo music game. It's not a music rhythm game. Don't tell me, because it's not. Nothing happens to the rhythm.
The music is very complimentary.
The music is very cool
It
in
is-
that
it's
game,
very, yeah.
and the art style is very gay
No, it's bisexual.
in the best way. Bisexual, sure.
Yeah.
It looks like
This weird, like, it's like French Power Rangers, if I can call it that.
Yeah, okay.
But like with a lot of like that. The reason we said bisexual is because the bisexual lighting thing,
Yes.
where everything in the game is lit in either pink, blue, or purple.
Yeah,
and
which
it's got
I didn't
that
know that
real
until you were telling me
neon vibe to it, which fits well with the electronic music that's in it.
Yeah.
And like the environments are really weird but neat and cool.
yeah, I was gonna say it looks like Beautiful Joe fell into Tron.
Yeah, kinda.
I like that.
It's like this weird, like Power Rangers if they were like super into flowers and shit. I don't know. Like, I don't know how
So
else
the
to-
Powerpuff Girls.
It's
And
it's
Gree
a
is
very
Gree is
cool.
fucking rad too.
And
That's
Gree-
a platformer, right?
Gree is a platformer. And
Yeah.
you're basically playing a painting.
It looks
Yes.
fucking very
It
cool.
does,
I
yes.
saw, I guess, just like screenshots on,
That's the kind of thing people would
like.
like want to frame and put up on their walls.
Yeah.
Do you think Control will win as well?
No,
Really?
My pick is Control. I think Sekiro will win.
Really?
My
Yes.
pick is Sekiro, and I think Control will win. And
That's
also-
funny. My pick is Control, but I think Gree will win.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I picked Sekiro is because
By the way, the
I'm
writer of
glad we're-
Berserk, I'm going to murder his name, I'm sorry. Kentaro Miura. Incredible artist. He has been drawing and writing that all by himself since it came out in
Wow.
when did it first air? 1989. Every issue.
I'm
him.
from that year.
Every issue he drew and wrote himself.
Jeez.
That's why he just
That's
puts
dedication.
it out whenever
Yeah,
he
yeah,
wants.
when- when-
It's one of those series
think he-
where
I
it's
think
like,
he's-
when's the new one out? Whenever I feel
I
like
think he's
putting it
earned the
out.
right to have
Yeah.
that schedule.
all right. Do we feel anything got snubbed from art direction? Do you have anything?
The only tiny call out what I was actually going to give, believe it or not, is to Far Cry New Dawn. Kind of forgotten now this late in the year, but that game has a really beautiful color palette. Like contrasted against its Mad Max style, like guns and vehicles. Like, I don't know, I liked that a lot. It very bright blue water and pink and wildflowers and stuff like that, and bright yellows. And it's got a neat thing, like the way they graffiti and
I am once again going to give a shout out to Devil May Cry 5.
yeah, okay.
I know
think
it's
that
game's a good one.
agitated,
That
or
game
not.
has got style for days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that game is style.
I know it's a little played out, but obviously Borderlands looks cool, feels
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
Realistically,
Destiny
maybe
Shadowkeep.
Mario Maker. That's kind of interesting.
Shut up.
You know, big penises made out of blocks, stuff like that. Yeah, no, I guess Destiny Destiny always looks cool. I like their aesthetic,
Yeah.
but I just like the aesthetic of Miyazaki's games. I like dark
Yeah.
fantasy and putting it in.
Oh, right. Sorry, that Miyazaki. We got into this the other night, and
Yeah.
the same thing
Miyazaki
happened.
is
Okay.
the From Software guy,
Yes.
not the Totoro guy.
It's like, man, something happened, and he got real, like...
Yeah, I love that art. It's not. He's probably not the art director, but I like that style. I like From Software's team. I love their enemy design. I like I said, like dark fantasy. It's just fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's gritty, and It's weird. Like I said, that's the best example. It's like you just a giant monster with like it's got like mouths on its shoulders and like a tongue coming out of its leg, and like that's just cool. It's like weird. It's like a kid. You ever see those drawings where it's like my kid drew a drawing and then I made it into like a realistic drawing? It's like one of those things. You know what I mean?
That's one fucked up kid.
Yeah. So next up, here we go. Score and music. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and/or licensed soundtrack. Kind of confusing there, but I think you get the idea. Also, Jesus, these are pretty much my 3 favorite things about games, all back to back to back, which is kind of funny. Anyway, our 5 nominations are Cadence of Hyrule, Death Stranding, Devil May Cry 5, Kingdom Hearts 3, Sayonara Wild Hearts, and not Doom Eternal, the true winner, because it got delayed. So remember what you were talking about with Link's Awakening? I think Cadence of Hyrule kind of falls under the same category a little bit, and my bet is that it will probably win.
That's remixes, though.
Yeah, but those are still the remixes of music that we're so familiar with,
But
and
they're
that
so good.
of course they are. I know they are. Like Zelda music is some of the best in games. Period.
No, I meant the remixes are really good.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like Smash isn't on here, and it contains more iconic tracks than any video game ever made by the nature of having more tracks than any video game ever made.
I'm gonna throw out some beef here. Kingdom Hearts 3, that's cheating.
Oh, I agree.
Because
Maybe I should throw that in as well.
It's just the Disney music from that world.
Okay, are they remixed it in an interesting way?
By that rationale, here's what I'm saying. That's why I think this category specifically, it's a shame that playlist, licensed music, and original music are shoved together. Because
I agree, yeah.
Half Death Stranding is a fucking Spotify playlist, and it's unfortunate because it's like, what is the difference between using real music that already exists to fit your narrative and set a tone versus writing original music to do the things? They're 2 completely different arts.
Well, the only thing I will say, though, is a lot of the songs that were commissioned by artists in Death Stranding are original songs.
Okay,
it's not like Grand Theft Auto, but Grand Theft Auto also has an original score as well that is very good.
Yeah.
It's because Devil May Cry 5 also has some. Does that have some licensed stuff in it as well?
Hell yeah! Can I play that song?
Oh God! Hey, wait, is this the one that was
Devil Trigger?
Was this the one originally written by that pervert?
Yes.
And they booted him off the soundtrack because he's a piece of shit?
This was originally written by the people that replaced him.
Okay. Oh, because it was Suicide Silence was the band. Yeah. And then they replaced him with somebody from the band Volumes? I forgot.
I know Volumes.
Yeah.
I hate this kind of music. I just want to preface this.
I mean, that's very appropriate, I will say.
It's so fucking appropriate, and I hate that kind of music.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get me into that, no matter how hard you try. But in the context of the game, yeah.
So I'm gonna go on a weird limb here. I'll probably lose me some points, but for my prediction, I'm gonna say Devil May Cry 5.
Okay.
Because they performed that last year.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, right before the game came out.
Oh, that sounds like you're inside
baseball. Get come at me. It's also probably not going to win. But I know neither of you are going to pick Devil May Cry 5, so in the slight chance it does, I get a point.
Okay. I'm personally torn between Death Stranding and actually Wild Hearts.
My pick is going to be...
What, for your prediction? I thought you said Cadence of Hyrule you thought.
Oh, no, that's my prediction. I more meant my personal bet, sorry.
Oh, my personal one's not Devil May Cry 5. My personal one is absolutely Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Okay.
Without question.
When they pick...
Because the music makes that fucking game.
Yeah, I agree.
When they put out Death Stranding for PC next year, and it'll have its won X amount of awards at the Game Awards, there'll be a couple on there, and one of the random ones will be the best score. And that's what I think is going to win
prediction?
the best score.
Okay.
Just because it needs to have more awards for its...
So what's your personal... I mean, you haven't really played any of these
games,
okay.
so I don't really have an opinion.
Have you played anything this year where music stuck out in a really memorable way? Or
yeah, I'm going to say probably Master Chief Collection, as Halo has some of the best music that's ever been written. I mean, if you want to know more about that, go listen to our Halo stuff.
Well, like I said, if I really wanted to be the ultimate cheat, I'd be like Smash Brothers. It's literally every track from everything ever. But no.
But there's some really good fucking remixes in Smash.
Oh, there
too.
are. So there's some incredible, and they'll do remixes that are like full orchestras of renditions of old 8 and 16-bit music that we've. But honestly, my personal pick might be. It's hard because Death Stranding's music choices are bizarre and oftentimes gorgeous. They have a whole album for it that you mentioned with original songs.
I'll probably do that. My work does a lot of video game soundtracks.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, you probably will, yeah. I think they have music by, like, The Neighborhood and Bring Me the Horizon and Major Lazer. It's so weird. Churches, who I believe is also on the Sayonara Wild Heart soundtrack.
They are.
Along with Bleachers, Phoebe Ryan, Anima Yamaguchi, and Cascade. So, I think my pick actually might be for that game. And it's something that I've only watched been played so far. I've yet to experience it for myself, but I do plan on picking it up. But yeah.
You want to play it right now?
No, I don't want to play it on a phone.
I have installed. It's right there.
I don't want to play it on a phone.
Was it the Sayonara Wild Heart?
Yeah. We'll get into the mobile games
Apple
later.
Arcade, brah.
Yeah, but it's also on... Isn't it on PS4? And, like, Switch?
I think it's on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Switch is just a bigger phone, dog.
That's true.
It is.
All right, do we got our picks?
Yes, so correct me if I'm wrong. Randy's prediction is Cadence of Hyrule.
Yes.
My prediction is Devil May Cry 5, and Chris's prediction is Death Stranding.
I'll do it.
All right.
I think you might be right, but I'm just going with the wild card.
I vote very pessimistically, where I always root against myself. So,
Yeah.
All
You
right.
want to play Devil Trigger again, though?
That'll be the outro song. All right.
Song rules and I hate it.
It reminds me of Let It Die. So now we have the other side of the same coin: audio design.
Where's Jason?
Recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design.
We let two things I wanted to
I would
bring up
like to hear
here.
Jason's opinion of these.
Jason literally brought up how bad the audio mixing in Borderlands 3 is.
Yeah, let's do some negatives. Let's call out Borderlands 3 for their horrendous audio mixing.
And then the
Isn't
thing on the
mixing real
giant
bad?
bomb when that guy was calling out.
About Days Gone?
Days Gone.
Ron Funches.
Yeah. Everything sounds like it's the same distance away. I don't even know how you did that.
So up for best audio design are Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Control, Death Stranding, Gears 5, Resident Evil 2.
What's Gears 5? Did any of the other 4 titles of this game ever get
No, this is the
nominated
first
for any?
one,
Okay,
actually.
all right, I thought so.
It's so weird that we start with 5.
And Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, 6 again. No consistency here, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't... First of all, I want to start this off by saying Foley is the coolest thing in the world.
It is. It's
If
so great.
I could have any job, I would be a fucking Foley artist. This is not the first time we've even talked
I
about
know, that's
Foley
the
on
best
this
part. It's
podcast.
actually come up before.
It is so much fun.
They're magicians.
It is fucking magician. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And don't get me wrong, I also love digitally created sounds because I'll watch Jason sit there and write like music on Ableton, creating a sound from like a blank waveform.
Yeah.
And that's also very cool.
Yes.
But that's why I'm saying like first of all, anybody who does sound in video games, fucking A. All of these games.
We need a new sound of the ship taking off. I don't know, cover this grapefruit in tinfoil and then throw it on a treadmill. And
A lot of it's digital nowadays. It's
Yeah,
not like-
I know.
But sampling is still a big
Sampling
part
is
of it.
still a thing,
Sampling
yeah.
comes from Foley, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now it's like a lot of analog stuff. But
Yeah, but so everybody fucking gets an award, maybe with the exception of Call of Duty, who probably just recorded gunshots.
well, maybe they did. But that game does sound good. Like I played
Any
it. but-
shooter sounds incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, that's the problem now. It's like I remember the first time I played a Battlefield game that blew me away with sound, and now I shrug my shoulders at it, despite the fact that the sound in every Battlefield game is incredible.
Yeah.
Like DICE is so good at that.
They're good at
Like,
production.
They
It's just
are.
they're
Yeah.
bad at making video games.
I mean,
they're good at making video games.
Yeah.
Have you heard my text message tone?
What is it? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It reminded me of Death Stranding's little codec jingles for the communicator in that game are dope as fuck.
So that's what I'm saying. I think, in my opinion, since everybody's good at it, who stands out the most with the most cool, creative
So that's
sounds?
tough. So, like, it's funny because this is our first Resi nomination today. Obviously, a series that means a whole lot to me, but I actually think I might have to go with Control again.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
Control's
It's
probably.
Like, when you pick up stuff and throw it, it's like the whoosh, like, it's so cool. The mixing on it is so
quality
fucking
because,
good.
like, Call of
whooshes
Duty
and the
sounds like a
chunks.
Call of Duty game, but damn, if
quality.
there's one thing you give to that series, it's sound design.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
And
Call of
they've won
Duty is
before,
like-
right? Call of
yeah.
Duty's won before.
Call
They
of
have.
Duty is-
That's actually that's my pick for what I think will win.
Okay.
Personally.
Gears 5, same thing.
That's also
Those
what I was thinking.
chainsaw fucking guns.
Yeah.
Very
Ooh,
all
boy,
this
they
cool
sound good.
sci-fi
They
sounds
are.
and shit like that.
Yeah.
And the sounds of like all the weird enemies, like those swarms of things.
Yeah, that is
they all
true.
sound really cool.
I think maybe the reason that Control is sticking out to me right now is just because I've played a lot of Gears games and I played a lot of Call of Duty games, so some of the sounds are familiar, even though that they knock it out of the park every time, as opposed to Control, where I'm just like, I don't think I've heard a lot of these before. Like, just the way that...
Sekiro.
So here's my personal pick, which I think it should be Gears 5. I think it's a good mixture of cool organic sounds and a lot of need for creative sounds because of the sci-fi element. Yeah. So it probably sounds fucking really good. And if it's not, I've never played it, but if it's nominated, I trust that it has a reason to fucking be nominated.
Yeah.
But I think my pick is going to be the same reason I think Death Stranding will win the audio thing. I think Sekiro is going to win audio design.
Yeah?
Because it'll be From Software's Sekiro Special Edition, 5 game awards. One of them won't be listed, and it'll be because it's best audio design.
Is that like fucking when they repackaged the movie Armageddon because it won a sound editing award at the Academy Awards?
It's like 1, 2
Right,
Academy
Yeah,
Awards.
and it's literally a golden banner with an Oscar. It's like Bruce Willis's face.
I'm gonna go personal pick and prediction. Gears 5.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do give my props to Gears 5 elsewhere.
Yeah, personal
see.
pick, Gears 5ve, prediction, Sekiro.
All right. So, do we have anything snubs to talk about? Devil May Cry 5.
Division.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a good snub. Division probably sounded great. I mean, I played it, I should say. I don't know, I played it with just my TV sound, not like a stereo or headphones. I don't know. What Mario Maker? Those are classic sounds.
We're all gonna feel stupid when Resi gets it, because that's
Yeah.
another series that, like, 7's audio design was fucking incredible, and 2's was as well. And
All right. Randy says Call of Duty. I say Gears 5. Chris says Sekiro. That's predictions.
I bet you Star Wars would have won it if it made it in time.
yeah, I get
nothing
into
beats
that.
Star Wars sound design.
What about Ghost Recon Breakpoint?
Oh man, yeah, that game didn't get anything this
Yeah.
year.
That's the
Fucking Jump Force got a nomission and Breakpoint didn't.
Probably didn't deserve one.
All right. Want to move on?
Yeah. So next we have performance,
There's only one winner.
Yes, I agree.
awarded to an individual for voice acting, motion, and/or performance capture. This is kind of a controversial category, I think, for me this year. But
There's going to be a lot of snubs mentioned.
their picks are, yes, there are, Ashley Birch as Pravarti Holcomb in
All right.
The
You don't
Outer
have to read
Worlds.
it anymore.
Yeah, I
You
know.
can stop there.
Oh, that's your.
That's my
you
that's
know
my
what?
bet for who I think is going to win for sure. Then it's Courtney Hope as Jesse Faden in Control. Laura Bailey as Kate Diaz in Gears 5.
She was flat in Control. It definitely
Yeah.
felt flat.
Mads Mikkelsen as Cliff in Death Stranding. Matthew Peretta as Dr. Casper Darling in Control.
Which one was he?
was the
I will
doc-
get
the
I will get
FMV
to that
doctor.
because that's actually my personal
Oh,
choice.
really? He's
Yeah.
definitely-
And Norman Fetus as Sam Porter Bridges in Death Stranding.
That's it. There is no other option. That they can't. Just the sheer amount of work that went into that has to be the winner.
Who?
That's my pick for the winner.
You gonna, who?
Norman Reedus
Norman?
for Death Stranding.
Yeah, he doesn't speak enough though. It's maybe that's just the character, but it does feel a
they'll
little
be
bit like Kiefer.
They'll
and
be like, without his movements and his face and his cadence, you can't be the
maybe,
character.
but from what I hear, Mads apparently steals the show. Like when you get to him, like
All right, fair. Then hold on. Don't put me down yet.
I don't know.
then.
I won't. Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit because the funny thing is, like, did you play Metal Gear Solid 5?
Wait, which one's that? Phantom Pain?
Yeah, Phantom
All right,
Pain.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and
I
the
only
Phantom-
know the subtitles.
And that was
and then 3.
So they got Kiefer Sutherland to replace David Hayter as Snake, who did fine, but it seemed like he wasn't available enough. And like I don't think that was the exact same case with Norman. He had to do all that fucking motion capture and
Yeah.
everything. But like it's just apparently like everybody else in the game speaks more than him, and maybe that's just because he's the player surrogate. But like from what I hear, Mads, apparently he like chews the scenery in a way that people really like.
He's incredible.
He's technically the best overall performer on here. The man is a true professional.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. He's a fucking professional actor. And by the way, Henry Cavill. I don't like him. I remember reading something about him being like weirdly conservative or Christian a long time ago, and I don't like him.
That,
but fuck him as Geralt. Mads Mikkelsen would have been my fucking pick for Geralt. Yeah. He already looks like him, kind of. Like, still fucking long white hair on him, and that's him.
Unfortunately, my biggest problem with Mads is just I haven't seen him enough in the game yet. Like, we're like a dozen hours in, and also, I don't know, like, he has yet to grace the screen much
More
so
than
far.
Flashbacks and weird shit.
Yeah, that's kind of the most that I think we both have seen.
My pick for who, personally...
This is of these, because,
Of these?
Wait, personal first, and then
personal first, then who I would... Personally... Okay. Ashley Birch.
Absolutely, that's my personal too.
She's a fucking great character.
She's my favorite video game character this year.
Such a fucking cool companion.
Yeah.
Cool fucking story. Well acted.
Not to mention the fact that I played 3 games in quick succession where she stole the fucking show.
Yeah, she's fantastic in After Party as well.
She doesn't steal the show in After Party. There's a lot of really good people in After Party, and we'll get to that with the snubs.
Yeah.
But she is also very good as Tina in Borderlands 3.
Right, yeah, she came back.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And goddamn scab.
And also, I think Pavarti might be my favorite character
very
this year.
My favorite character of the year is the Goose.
Oh, by far. Which, by the way, the Goose is in the new Rick and Morty intro.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that for a second.
It's got like 2 heads.
Oh, yeah, by the way, best art direction, if we're including animation in that, Goose Game should have been nominated.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't even think about that.
The way that the way the goose moves and the physics of it.
Very articulated. That's one of the first things I noticed. I was like, you can make a goofy as shit game, but like, that also looks cool. Like,
I know, it does. And that's what makes it so funny, too.
Yeah.
Like,
And I love pastel palettes.
Yeah, very minimalist.
Any games that have like minimalist
but yeah, all jokes aside, Ashley Birch is a treasure.
My prediction, Mads.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. He's got the most star power.
Let me explain why. Because Norman Reedus will probably be there because he's Norman Reedus and he's like the head of the game and he's there promoting it.
Do you think he would accept the award for Mads?
I think they will give the award to Mads Mikkelsen just to get him on stage. Or like a video of him just
they had some pretty high roller presenters last year.
Yeah.
I don't know this year, but
yeah, Pavarti is by far my pick for best because
she's my favorite.
She's a really cool character, and it feels real and it feels cool.
Granted,
I never used her as a companion because I was like, because she's like a smart engineer, and I role play when I play games. Like, you don't bring your fucking you keep her on the ship.
I've heard a lot of people talk about how her character, like her input, has actually influenced player decisions.
Oh, it influenced my first decision.
Mine too. Yeah.
And also her whole sexuality thing.
Yeah.
It's
fucking a cool thing to explore, and
representation of that is
and the writing around that is very good.
Yeah. I got to see more of her, like,
because she plays. For those that don't know, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm not that far in the game, so fuck it. She plays an asexual character.
Yeah.
But she's also, like, raised in this, like, capitalist hellhole society, so she doesn't really understand what asexuality is. So she, like, presents it as sort of like this. She's just like, I don't know, I've never much been into the intimate stuff. But she, like, doesn't, she's like one of those characters that, like, doesn't understand that that's an option for something that you can identify as, but she still totally understands.
Because, like, how would
that's the way she is.
Yeah. No, it's very fucking cool.
Very well
and
handled.
It's just well acted.
Yeah. And it's all
But my
phenomenal.
pick is Norman Reedus because Walking Dead guy do big video game on cover. Okay.
Also, by the way, it goes without saying that Laura Bailey is also incredibly talented. I just don't really think Kate from Gears is anything particularly special.
The stuff that we've been getting into recently, I think, is showing through.
Maybe it'll get.
I think she is carrying that game.
She is. Because that's why I'm saying it's not her fault per se. It's due to the writing. Like, you're only as strong as your weakest part, but like...
The writing for Kate is not that great, but Laura Bailey is carrying that role. She is limping across the finish line with what they gave her. Like,
who's the partner? Not JD. Dell. I like him. I like Dell.
He's good, too.
He's very good. Yeah.
But I just mean, like, they gave all the emotion...
Download it. It's free.
They gave all the emotional bits to Laura Bailey.
They did,
and she is nailing it.
Yeah.
Xbox should pay us for the amount of Game Pass promotion we do.
It is a phenomenal service.
Also, Courtney Hope, I'm sorry. I found that performance just so incredibly dull.
Immediately notice how flat it was, like right in the beginning
bizarre.
of the game, right away.
But the funny thing is, it's in complete contrast to my personal pick of Matthew Peretta, also known as Alan Wake, who spends the whole game in FMV just fucking being the most cornball-ass fucking dude.
Dr. Darling is great.
He's so, like, it's so weird. Like, it doesn't match the rest of the tone of that game at all, like, because he's chewing up the scenery in a way that the game should have had way more of.
Also, this might be a bit of a spoiler, but
at the end when you find the music video?
That fucking music video? Holy shit.
It's just a delight. and I know he has no chance in Space Hell of winning, but like that was my favorite part of that.
I don't even like Control, and he is my personal runner-up. Like that guy is phenomenal.
I know. Control is weird for me because I didn't particularly like love that game that much, but it definitely did a lot of things right, like really right, and that was one of them.
Absolutely, he just did the gameplay wrong.
They went with the dice method. They made a cool game that's not a real video game.
Yes. So now for our upsets, which, Austin, do you mind if I set you up for this one?
Go for it. I don't know what you're setting me up for, but I think I know.
So I think you brought this up to me before about how I have two, actually, that I'm going to acknowledge you for. I'm going to go through one very quickly, and then the other one I'm going to have you spend a lot of time on.
This is for sound design or acted snubs?
Yeah. So Austin jokingly brought up, but like Andrew Bowen, who voiced both the young and old versions of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 11. And some recognition for that would have been really nice because, like, the scenes where he has to act against himself as the younger, arrogant dude, and then just the older, more, like, burned out, just like he's annoyed by his past self. It's
not to mention the fact that he has to work with fucking Ronda Rousey,
who
and
just
he's still like he's still able to do it. Like that dude.
Is she Goro or?
No, she's fucking Sophia.
Do you mean in real life, or are you talking about?
Oh, God.
I meant in terms of being like a shitty, angry, evil character. Mm-hmm. But an even larger snub than that, though, and for a game I didn't even play, but from the way you described it, Logan Marshall Green in Telling Lies.
God.
Yeah, so this is a game from the creator of Her Story, in which the main actress in that actually won the performance award the year that came out. I think it might have been 2016.
Yeah.
And for those that may not know, Logan Marshall Green, or Discount Tom Hardy, as some call him,
call him that.
Yeah, he was the lead in Upgrade and The Invitation, both phenomenal films.
Okay. He was also in Prometheus.
Yes, and Spider-Man: Homecoming as well.
Who's he in Prometheus?
He's the lead guy.
The guy that dips his finger in the
he gets poisoned by the
Oh yeah,
with the chick. He's the girl's boyfriend.
I swear to God, why are you saying this? I'm thinking of Tom Hardy roles. Going, that's not him.
But no small pickings. And
no, for real, he is incredible.
He is. He's great. I wish, and it's a shame that like I'm obviously joking with the Tom Hardy thing because he does kind of look like Tom Hardy, but he's a fucking great actor.
He is. Upgrade is a very
Upgrade
cool,
is dope. And
bizarre film.
You got to check out the movie
phenomenal.
The Invitation. It's really good.
I watched Upgrade on your suggestion one day, and I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. Like, and it was fucking cool.
Yeah, and then they ripped the car from it for the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me about Telling Lies, Austin.
So for those of you that played Her Story, it's very similar. For those of you
is that the
didn't,
card game?
No, that's the Hearthstone. So what it is you play an agent who is trying to figure out a crime, but you don't know what the crime is, and you have a hard drive that you stole from the NSA that has stolen footage from people's cell phones, from people's like FaceTime cameras and their laptops and their.
Okay, I do know this game.
And you have until morning to figure it out, because a morning you have to destroy the hard drive before the FBI comes looking for it, essentially. So the whole game is similar to Her Story, where every bit of dialogue has subtitles, and those subtitles each have words. And you can search a word, and if it comes up in the subtitles for the video will pop up in the search results. And then you can watch it. The interesting thing about Her Story is that since a lot of it is FaceTime cameras or Skype cameras or something like that, you are essentially viewing one half of a conversation.
Yeah.
And your goal is, in order to piece together all the information you need from that particular video, you have to find the other half of that conversation. So when you're watching Logan Marshall Green do his thing on the screen, he's talking to his daughter or his wife or whatever, or spoilers, his girlfriend or his other daughter.
And from what you said, all the performances, it wasn't even just him.
They're all
you
very
said
good.
Yeah.
There's one chick named Carrie Bichet She's from *Halt and Catch Fire*. That's the only place I really know her from. But she's phenomenal. There's a cam girl who's in it. It's played by some French actress that was also in Westworld. She's phenomenal. There's a chick that was in like the newer X-Men movies as somebody. I don't know, but she's phenomenal. But like everybody in that movie...
Was she in Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, she was.
That's unfortunate.
Everybody in that game is basically having to deliver both sides of a conversation at once. So you're watching this guy talk to his wife, and then when he's not talking...
He's
you
reacting.
can't hear what she's saying because that audio wasn't captured on his phone. So he's just reacting to it. And like his facial reactions kind of play into the gameplay because you have to see whether he's upset or whether he's laughing or whether he's angry about what she's saying.
That's very cool.
And he does just... They all do a great job, but he is most of the videos in that game, and he is fucking phenomenal.
I don't know what happened. Like, her story blew up, and nobody is talking about this game. And... Like, it seems super interesting. And
it does. I remember, I don't remember when we were talking about it or looking at it. It just looks fucking cool. It's an interesting looking game.
It is not... I have some problems with that game, the way it delivers the story.
Yeah, I had some problems with her story as well.
There was essentially a bug in her story where you could just type a keyword that would give you all the videos
I did that by
haven't
accident.
seen.
Yeah.
And they took that out of telling lies, and I wish they hadn't because I missed a lot of videos. They tell you how many videos you missed at the end.
It's hard to compile all that.
I kind of just want to see the whole thing all the way through, but it's very difficult. But yeah, he is phenomenal.
Would you say that was like your biggest snub, you think?
If I was going to do video game performance... Personally, I think I'd put him up to win, not just to be nominated.
Yeah.
I'd say the guy who mocapped the grunts, probably. Like
that game came out in the early 2000s.
Because my biggest snub is actually from a game not on this list as well, and that is from After Party, which also featured Ashley Birch, but had amazing performances, like I mentioned before. Aaron Yvette as Wormhorn, who was like my favorite character of the year, and Dave Fennoy as Satan, or better known as he was Lee in the Walking Dead games. Yep. And he might have been the best performance I have heard all year. I didn't play Telling Lies. Mm-hmm. There are some scenes alone where they both just steal the show, like that whole scene we saw at the end. That even not on our playthrough, watching some friends play through that game was just fantastic. Like,
yep.
Yeah. I don't think I got into it with narrative, but if anybody ever plays that game, just to let you know, the setup is that you're two best friends that die in college, and you go to hell, and you have to outdrink Satan to get out of hell. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking great, it's just such a good pitch. And tiny shout out to Sean Ashmore and Man of Medan. I thought he was fun. Yeah. As the kind of lovable dickhead sort of character. We'll get into that later. But now we're going to shake things up a little. Here's some less obvious ones. First up is an award called Games for Impact. They list this as a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. And no, that's it. Sorry, I thought there was more to it than that. But that's
the esoteric definition.
I do like the idea of this category, but over the years I have found some of the nominations for it a little uneven. But here's what we have, though. Concrete Genie, Gree, Kind Words, Life is Strange 2, and Sea of Solitude, which some of these are a little iffy because
any of these.
Life is Strange 2 is still, I think it's kind of cheating because it got nominated last year and that fucking game still isn't fully out yet. I think Austin, you made a joke that maybe the next episode will get nominated again next year.
Yeah.
But again, no After Party Blair Witch. But I think I might go with my personal pick as Concrete Genie. It seems like a cute little game about bullying and creative escape.
Yeah.
I heard Sea of Solitude was a little disappointing.
Sea of Solitude is very, very personal. It was clearly made by one person, and they put a lot of themselves into it.
Okay.
But
did it not maybe translate to the best kind of
I just think it might have been an issue of translation, because she also voice acts the main character, and she is not English. She is German. So
does she voice it in English?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it would have been better if she just spoke in German and then they
did subtitle
it. Yeah,
but that game is very cute.
You played Kind Words, didn't you?
Yes.
Which sounds like it could be very important for someone. I don't know if it's for me, but
I don't know if Kind Words is going to win.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely 100% without question my pick.
Okay, personally.
Because, do you know what that game is?
No.
So
I didn't know until Austin
let me
told
make sure, because it has a longer title than Kind Words.
Does it?
Is this the right
Because I tried to get full titles in for these games, but that was all that was listed on their official
Yes.
site.
The official title of the game is Kind Words, parentheses, Lo-Fi Chill Beats to Write to.
Yes, which I do. That's very literal
Yes.
in a way that I appreciate.
And the whole thing is, for as many of you probably know, the whole Lo-Fi Chill Beats to Study to YouTube channel. So the whole thing is
Chilled Cal is the name of the channel.
You're sitting in a room that is very reminiscent of the room that is in that video for that YouTube thing.
Yeah.
And basically, you're sitting next to a window with a stack of paper. And the window has paper airplanes going by it constantly. And so you can write a note and just send it out there.
Yeah, it's like into the ether.
Into the ether. And then other players can pick airplanes out of the sky and read them and respond to them.
Huh.
And you can literally write whatever you want. And you can ask for advice, or you can just ask for somebody to listen to you. There is even a button at the bottom that says, report this note.
Yeah.
And then when you report it, you can report it for being like racist or whatever, or you can report it because like, I'm genuinely worried for this person.
Yeah.
And it will reach out to the other person and be like, hey, somebody's worried about you. Here's like suicide prevention hotline links and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And it is a weird game. I'd barely call it a video game.
Yeah, it's more of like a social thought
Interactive
experiment or like a
social
yeah,
network.
Yeah.
But it is like, you can be like, I'm ready to give somebody advice, and you'll get a note. Just be like, my girlfriend broke up with me, and here are the reasons why she said. And you have to respond like, look, I don't know you, but keep your chin up or something like, you know.
Yeah,
It's
meant to be supportive.
It's probably the most difficult game in the world, because what's more difficult
than
helping somebody through a tough time?
That is true.
And especially when you don't know that person.
Yeah.
And like the whole framing of that game, it's all anonymous, but in the best way, because it gives people the ability to just pour their heart out, say things that they couldn't even say to the people closest to them, and then they have strangers, you know, and you can stamp your pictures with like little hearts and stuff, and then the whole game part of it is like collecting all the stamps, and
the beats are pretty chill.
And the lo-fi beats are chill.
What's funny is that despite the fact that this is obviously much more of a personal thing than something like Death Stranding, I do find it funny that both those games are themed around the idea of connection and positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
But my vote for what I think will win is Gree. People love it, and it's very pretty. But that's what I think.
I don't want to put in a vote because I don't barely know or play any of these games.
Okay,
So
you don't want to just throw one out?
All right.
I'm gonna say.
You can vote for me, Austin. You can do 2 votes.
All right, I'm gonna vote. My personal pick is Concrete Genie, and then I'm gonna vote for Chris and say Life is Strange.
Okay. Next up, we're kind of going to do 2 at once here, since they actually have the exact same nominees.
Yeah, I had to scroll down to see that. I was like, what are you talking about?
But ongoing game, or awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time, and community support, or recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness.
Which
They should probably just combine.
Geoff Keighley made a joke. He's like,
He did.
weird, they have the same nominees. And it's like, make them one category, dude. You're basically talking about the same thing.
I don't get. Yeah, exactly. What it takes to be an ongoing game
is community.
to have
Yes,
community outreach.
You're 100%
I get what they're saying though, because like technically, maybe they're like, what if an ongoing game has shitty community support? But then it wouldn't be an ongoing game,
Right?
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I agree. But our the 5 picks for both categories are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Tom
Got my
Clancy's
Fortnite hoodie on.
Rainbow Six Siege. Notice how previous winner Overwatch didn't make it.
It was Austin Winter's
Yeah,
Overwatch.
you have an Overwatch shirt on. Didn't make it on either list this year. You hear that, Mr. Kaplan?
I don't know.
Get on with fixing the shield
Are
problem.
they talking about American communities or global communities? Because
I don't know.
Blizzard's
I mean,
better at one.
I mean, they're voted on globally, so.
I know. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm torn between Final Fantasy, Fortnite, and Destiny. To be honest.
All right, so I was curious about Destiny because first of all, maybe this is just me. I think the fact that Apex is on here is kind of
I have an argument for that.
okay because that was a very flash in the pan game from my perspective. It was hot. A lot of people played it, and then they didn't keep up with support as much as something like a Fortnite because it's just a smaller they didn't have the resources to do so, and I feel like a lot of people fell off it. And Destiny has had a very weird year with changing the platform that even their services of the game is available
So
on.
what's your Apex Legends thing?
So my thing about Apex Legends
I don't know how hot
is
that new Destiny expansion is, but from what I've heard from you and other people, it's not totally clicking.
Apex Legends is basically Fortnite when you think about it. From a community perspective, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is that they both have received complaints about being a little bit egregious in terms of microtransactions and stuff like that. Apex has maybe had a more angry community because it's a smaller community, and the smaller the community, the more angry they can get.
Yeah.
But they've
And the
also
the louder your vocal minority.
they've also
are gonna be.
responded to it more. Like Fortnite has their battle pass and they have their weird like cosmetic shit, and they were just like, whatever, people are buying it, fuck off. And
But
Apex, Apex kind of like Respawn actually listened and like changed their battle pass.
That's
and,
Respawn is also a quarter of the size of fucking Epic, you know?
And we're working on another game this whole this whole year.
My personal pick and what I think will win is Destiny 2.
Really? You
Yeah,
think that will beat
surprised.
Fortnite with the Chapter
Yes.
2 stuff this year?
Yes.
Because that was pretty wild.
Because the Chapter 2 stuff was
So this is for
neat.
both categories? You're going with this?
We can choose. I'll choose a different one for both, just for the sake of making it more fun.
Different one for both, sorry.
We'll start
You
with
don't
ongoing.
have to,
We
literally.
you don't have to.
No,
yeah.
no, for ongoing game, I am going to personally say Rainbow Six Siege.
Me too.
Because that game came out in 2015.
Fucking 2015.
And it's still going strong.
Yeah.
Stronger, even.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
It kicks regular big updates, and the community is like loves it every time.
My vote for what I think will
do
win
their events.
ongoing game is Fortnite.
Yeah.
My answer for community, for personal.
That's
and
the Destiny one?
That's Destiny.
Destiny.
For personal
Okay.
and prediction is Destiny 2. Because they got out from under the heel of Activision, and then they, like, their expansion might not be hitting as much as people wanted it to.
It's
but
just a little light.
They delivered, like, that cross-play, that cross-save stuff.
Yeah, and that works well, apparently.
Bungie is incredible. Okay, well, I'll get to that because that's also my pick.
Yeah.
Best ongoing game? Personal pick? I don't really know. I never really played Siege. I missed the bid.
I feel biased because like that's the game of these that I play. So like,
Yeah,
but
it's a toss-up between Fortnite. I'd probably say Fortnite, probably. And I'd
Yeah.
also say that they are going to win Best Ongoing Game. I don't know when the last time they won an award was, or if they ever won Game of the Year or anything like that. At this point, the impact culturally and video game world, it deserves it.
yeah.
Just deserves it. And as far as
all jokes aside, it's like I wouldn't be upset. At, just
no,
like yeah, I
absolutely not.
totally get it.
We make
Yeah.
jokes about Fortnite, ironically, but it's
Yeah.
like you respect the fucking champs.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's
Yeah.
a reason they're champs. You know.
Yeah.
Best,
I don't want to play it. I still tip my hat.
Yeah.
That's,
Best community support. My personal pick and what I think will win is absolutely Destiny 2. Bungie has always been, and as much as they sometimes fuck up and sometimes come back, how they handle their community in Destiny should be the playbook for how every fucking developer who runs a game like this engages with their community. Regardless of how good or bad it's been responsive, it's listened, it's worked with, it's worked around, and even if they don't deliver all the content, and even if I have endless amounts of complaints about how they mostly just reskin their bullshit, I also understand what the just big challenge of what they're doing is.
How big of a team is Bungie really in comparison to
A lot. It's
Yeah.
big.
Is it?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of
Oh,
people,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't
It's-
think they were small. I was
No,
just
absolutely
curious.
not. They just deserve to be praised for that because nobody does it like them. And like I said, there's good and bad, and Destiny is good and bad, but it deserves recognition for what it does
Sure.
best, which is engage with its players.
Also, shout out to Final Fantasy.
Well,
14.
so I'm gonna get weird here and say for community, because so for ongoing, my personal pick is Siege, but who I think will win is Fortnite, and for community, I might actually say Final Fantasy, since apparently they have almost fully eradicated the bigger issues of things like the housing stuff that we talked about on our show last year.
It's almost hard to not.
And people seem to love that near raid and the new expansion that came out over the summer.
Yeah,
like
you know what? The reason I didn't mention it is because it's almost like they're doing so well.
Yeah.
It's almost not noticeable.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
if you do your job right, people
exactly. It has that kind of vibe to it because
Yeah.
arguably Final Fantasy is the most successful MMORPG
it's
of
the
all
biggest.
time.
It's the most wild turnaround in games, probably. Period. Yeah.
I'd say it's going to be, if you zoom out on a long-term scale, it'll be just as, if not more popular than WoW ever was.
Yeah.
Maybe WoW obviously has cultural impact.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy they're just fucking firing on all cylinders.
Yeah,
over
so
there.
I think that's going to be my pick for community. You know,
And
we'll
they
see.
we'll
see how I do.
Still
Your
cannot
personal one,
not
too?
put out a middle of the road.
You know, maybe. I mean, I would say, like I said, it would make the most sense for me to just choose Siege because that's what I play.
I would say
but
Siege is probably shouldn't be in community. If you're going to separate those two out,
Maybe.
the Siege community is big, but they
engage like
engage,
it all, or?
but like there's a lot of stuff about that game that still needs fixing that they just aren't getting to.
I think Siege is just more the most consistent in their release schedule of new things.
Ongoing game, sure. Community, I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
And also,
That's
I want to
fair.
say...
Then you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll say Final Fantasy for both of my picks for that.
I want to say shout out, the only snub I can think of, Warframe.
Yeah.
Because that game is older than all of
absolutely.
these and still going
and
strong.
and the people that are playing that game
Love it.
love it.
I just never liked the feel, to be honest.
me
'cause I
either.
played it, but it just didn't
But
feel
like,
good.
you want to
yeah.
talk about community support, like
Fucking A.
Yeah.
the chick that does community support for that was
And
on
that
the Giant
game's
Bomb
been
thing,
around
and
for a
she
fucking long
is-
time, man.
Yeah, she is very good at what she does. And that community-
You
they have
guys
very
did
loyal
cut
fans.
off my angry rant about how they haven't put out anything over a mediocre single-player Final Fantasy in 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they
I
have,
liked
even though they have a gajillion dollars.
I liked
now.
15.
You know how much fucking money Final Fantasy Online makes? I get server upkeep and
Well,
costs.
think about the mobile game. The mobile game I probably makes more in terms
Yeah,
of like
but just hire
the cost,
everybody
but
who's
which-
ever worked on a Final Fantasy to make a new single-player game.
Which
they made Kingdom Hearts this year,
Which
dude. What do you
mobile
want?
game? There's like
Oh my god!
7.
Oh, I meant Brave X. Isn't there like a tower defense kind of one or something? I get ads for it constantly.
There's one for every fucking genre.
Of course there is. All right, so back to something a little more us, I would say. We're going to do our 2 indie ones back to back. We got independent game, or, indie game. This is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system.
Wait, are we also doing the Eat Fresh Award?
Yeah, that's going to...
Yeah, the Eat Fresh Award.
It used to be Best Debut. That was so much better. But up for the prize of Best Independent Game is Baba Is You, Disco Elysium, Katana Zero, Outer Wilds, and Untitled Goose Game.
Can I all just say now that our personal picks are probably all the same,
Yes.
and it's Baba Is You?
Yes.
Baba's you absolutely.
Without
And you know
my
what?
personal
It's
pick.
going to fucking lose to Outer Wilds.
I know. I know.
Hard second Untitled Goose Game.
Yes, I agree. But
the
as
funny-
much as I love the
Untitled Goose
goose,
Game
I
is-
can't say no to Baba.
Untitled Goose Game is a meme. Like it's
It is
an
an
adorable
interactive
game,
meme.
and it has like great animation, and it is hilarious to
Yeah.
watch somebody play. But Baba Is You is a better video game.
Before After Party, that was the most I laughed at a game in a long time.
This is
Untitled
what.
Goose Game.
Yeah, it was Untitled Goose Game.
This is what I wanted. This is what I kind of like stifled myself talking about earlier while we were like taking a little break.
Yeah.
Puzzle games.
Yeah.
I like puzzle games.
Me too.
When you play some of those Baba's You levels, and after an hour of racking your fucking brain, you finally figure out. Think about the person who designed that.
I know.
How the fuck did they even design
and
some
you
of
know
that
why
shit?
Baba,
Oh my
You know why
God.
Baba Is You's not up for the Eat Fresh Award? Sorry to cut ahead of you.
Did he make something else?
Because it's one guy. It's-
Wait, you're not eligible as one guy?
I think so. He made one other thing, I think.
Okay.
But
The point is, Baba's You is probably the greatest puzzle game
I
ever
know.
made.
It's insane. The
It's
fact that
next to Portal, the best puzzle
I
game.
agree.
fucking
It's like
ever.
the fact that this category is the only place this game lives is an absolute crime.
It is,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, because
It's one of the
should
best
be,
fucking
it should be
games.
up for Game of the Year.
It should be because
Absolutely.
we had like 24 people in a room shouting at the TV trying to figure something out, and we'll go for like the later puzzles in that game. It'll be like 35 minutes of us feeling like the dumbest people on the planet, and then one person will be like, "Well, what if this?" And then we're all geniuses. We're just like, and then it happens all over again.
It is incredibly fun to play together.
Yeah.
It is also incredibly rewarding to play by yourself.
Yes, yeah.
It is one of the most uniquely designed puzzle games ever. It takes elements.
Oh, it turns your world upside
It
down.
takes elements from every puzzle game and subverts them in such new and creative ways. It is just, it's just
Yeah.
absolutely fucking
I
astonishing.
want to cut in here, by the way, and
Okay.
say this is not sarcastic in any way. If
Sure.
you are listening to this podcast and you like Outer Wilds, hit me up on social media and explain to me why that game is good, please. Because
I remember you playing this, and
I feel like I'm going insane. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Please. And I'm not, this is not me being a dick. I genuinely, like...
I watched you play that game, and I was...
yet to find somebody explain that to me in a way that I get why it's getting all the praise it does. And I get the praise, but like people are talking about it as one of the best games of the generation, and I just don't get it.
No.
I don't fucking get it at all, and it makes me so mad. I don't get it. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I know that.
I will say that Katana Zero game looked pretty all right.
I'm pretty sure Jason played that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He
It seems like a
had some
Jason
very
game.
nice things to say.
Cool.
So.
And Devolver is the shit. But I just feel like everybody kind of forgot about it, sort of a little bit. But that's not a detriment to the game. But.
This is a stacked category, and I don't know enough about Disco Elysium, but I don't think it's...
That's my
I'm gonna get
personal
mad
pick.
if it beats either Baba Issue or Untitled Goose
Yeah.
Game.
Hey, my vote. I'm gonna put my faith in Baba. I'm gonna say that people will recognize.
I kind of want to put my... I don't know. I want to put my faith in Baba so bad.
It is.
All right.
But I think Outer Worlds...
We can't be alone.
Or Outer Wilds.
We can't be alone in how that... It's just... I don't know. And here's the difference. You guys started off playing it with a group of people, so you had that. I started off playing it solo, and I had just as much fun.
That's
and
great.
bringing it to the fucking
That's a
table.
good. That's how you know it's a good fucking
exactly.
game.
It is, and I love playing it with people. It's like my favorite fucking thing to do.
Yeah.
Like we were just the other day, I had Jason and Dom over. We were
it's so good.
playing.
Because it's so funny. Because the best part is we played in a group of people, and it was a different person every time. All it took is like everybody's thinking in all different ways, and then all it takes is like one person to just like lean back and like just like rub their chin and be like, well, shit, what if this was this? And they're just like, oh fuck, and it's also like I'm not a programmer. I know Austin, you're a programmer. It's like Baba is kind of like this.
It is a visualization of
basic programming. Yeah, like it's
more or less. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Outer Wilds
for what you think is going to win.
For what I think is going to win. We already know what we all think should win.
Yeah.
Baba's You is the best game on this list by a country mile.
Yeah.
But what do you say? You saying Outer Wilds, or are you going to go with something else?
Do I want to vote with my heart or vote with my gut?
Brain?
Yeah, or my brain.
I'm going to vote with my heart,
yeah.
which is literally shaped like the word H-E-A-R-T, and it's red and it's wiggling.
I'm going to say it's going to be Outer Wilds.
Okay.
And I'm also going to say I'm going to punch my TV when we watch it.
All right,
my birthday wish.
Sure to hold you back.
My birthday wish is that Baba wins.
All right, so here's the thing. I almost said Untitled Goose Game.
Okay.
Because I think that...
The meme power?
Dude, meme's got a president elected, dog. Do you not think they could do you not think they could get a game award?
I know.
I think that this category is either going to be, they're going to put some recognition into Goose Game, and they're going to put some recognition into Outer Wilds, and I think Outer Wilds will get game, and I think that Studio...
Oh, we'll get
House.
Okay.
That's my pick for House for the Eat Fresh Award presented by Jared.
Yeah, all right. So with that one down, let's actually get into the weeds of that one, right? We're going to tackle the other indie award that got renamed this year because of fucking Subway.
Yep.
What used to be Best Debut is now Fresh Indie Game, or for recognizing a new independent studio.
Sorry. It's hard to cut you off. You
Sorry,
said that wrong.
I did?
Fresh Indie Game presented by Subway.
Yes.
They didn't name it that just so you could leave the Subway integration off.
Yes,
dude.
that's why they paid for it.
All right. Fresh Indie Game presented by Subway.
Thank you. Now, don't forget, it's the Fresh Indie Game presented by Subway. Make sure you go to a near participating Subway so you can get...
They're all closing down around here.
Or whatever their deal is.
They're not $5 anymore.
Okay, I don't remember. I haven't been to a Subway in 10 years.
They're also not a foot long. But this is for recognizing
grifters.
a new independent studio that released its first game in 2019. We have ZA/UM for Disco Elysium. What the fuck kind of studio name is that?
The name of their studio will make me never play that game.
That's stupid.
Go on.
All right. Nomada Studio for Gree.
Okay.
Dead Toast Entertainment for My Friend Pedro.
Sure.
Mobius Digital for Outer Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
I think was that studio founded by that guy from Heroes? Or is he just... What? Yeah, the actor from Heroes is like a huge...
No, Mobius Digital is a bunch of students that started it as a student project and then formed a studio.
Some actor from
after
Heroes
graduation.
is like super involved with that game.
Sure.
Mega Crit for Slay the Spire,
Yep.
which I think you'll probably have some words to say about that game. I mean, you play a lot of that.
That's phenomenal.
and House for Untitled Goose Game, which I think is a great name for a studio. I snubbed the goose before, so now I'm going to stick him with the goose this time. It's cute and funny and short.
That's your personal pick?
That's my personal pick for what I want to win.
House is my pick for what I think will win.
Yeah?
Not my personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how big that studio is, but getting that goose to move and animate that way, and the way it interacts with all the physics, and the way they play with the music dynamically, it's just lovely, that game. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like... I didn't finish my friend Pedro, but I did like it. I know you said the back end of the game didn't end as strong as it started. I feel...
I didn't play it. It looks cool, though.
I feel like maybe this was where Disco Elysium would get its...
You want to say Zum? Z-A-U-M?
You know, just for that, fuck them. Like, that game's been nominated a bunch, but you know what? All right, Austin, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to vote with my heart this time.
You say House?
I'm going to say House.
Okay.
Meme power.
So my personal pick is Mega Crit.
Yeah.
Slay the Spire.
You played a lot of that game this year.
As a person who plays a lot of card games...
Our friend Bernard he texted me about that game. Was like, yeah,
Big
play this game.
Slay the Spire.
I showed that game to Jason once right before we recorded, and that was like 8 months ago. That was in like spring of this year when I started playing it. I was literally playing it as we were setting up because I couldn't stop the run that I was on. So I really like card games.
When did that game come out? Was it early this year?
It came out in early access last year, but it came out
I feel like
year.
I've heard about it for a while. That's why I was curious.
The thing about that, I've always liked card games, and the one thing that always stopped me from playing card games as a kid was having people to play them with, because none of my friends were really...
your table and smack your lunch out of you.
Nobody
play Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean,
somewhere
none of my
else.
friends really played them all that much, and when I would go to a card store to play them, I would get trounced by 40-year-olds with fucking fanny packs that spent all of their
Magic.
income on...
No, join the club.
So... Hearthstone is one of my favorite games of all time simply because it is a designed for digital card game that I can get matched make with people who are even with me. Slay the Spire takes that one step further where it's like, I don't have to worry about some asshole who spent his whole day theory crafting decks or just copy and pasting decks from the internet to trounce me. It's single player. And my other favorite kind of tabletop game
kind of wild,
are deck building games. And what Slay the Spire is it is a deck building card game in RPG form. And there is never a game I can think of that is more crafted for me.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not alone in that because a lot of people really love Slay the Spire. So my personal pick is Mega Crit. Without
I hope you get what you want. Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Personal pick, the Goose Game. It just looks cool. I love, once again, the colors, the aesthetic of that game. I feel. My vote, who I think is gonna win, probably 12-inch chicken teriyaki on Italian bread. That's probably my maybe some hot peppers. You know what I mean?
Dude, don't get me started, dude. That chicken teriyaki sandwich is good.
It is good.
It's good eating, dude. It's fresh as shit.
It's been a long time, but if it tastes like it used to, we might have to go out. Oh my god!
All right, so Randy's and me pick House, and you pick chicken teriyaki.
Yeah, write it down. And you're all gonna laugh as soon as that wins.
He's gonna be right too. It's the worst part.
Geoff Keighley's just gonna come on stage eating a sub.
All right, mobile games.
Oh, Randall's favorite.
I know.
Can you make it through this without saying a bad thing about mobile games?
We'll see.
As somebody who plays mobile games and doesn't indiscriminately fucking hate them for no reason, like other people on this podcast,
it's just destroying video games as an art form. That's all.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me read these off.
There's some good nominees in this game.
There are some decent ones.
One that should be in another category.
Well, actually, I was gonna say, you know what? The good nominees in this list are the ones that are available on other platforms.
Not true.
All right. So for the best game playable on a dedicated mobile device, I love how they have to say that last part because of the Switch. But yeah, as Austin said, I don't play mobile games, but maybe you do. So up are Call of Duty Mobile.
Hell yeah.
Grindstone. Sayonara Wild Hearts. Sky Children of the Light. And What the Golf. So funny thing is, the two games on here that I actually like, as I mentioned before, are not just exclusively on mobile, because obviously that wouldn't be how I would play them. This was the same thing you saw with Donut County last year. Killer fucking game. I even bought it again on mobile just for the stickers, but I don't want to play it on there. But anyway, yeah, my pick is What the Golf. I think it's hilarious and fun. It's also on PC. Same with Sayonara, but I feel like I already gave that its props elsewhere. And the thing that I think is going to win is Grindstone, because my Twitter won't shut up about it.
Okay.
No fucking clue what Sky is, but...
Sky is the game from that game company.
Oh, I don't like them.
I know you don't. Speaking of video games as an art form.
Yeah, but their art's boring and pretentious. I would have liked Journey if I played it when people were online, but nobody was online.
As somebody who loves that game company.
Which one?
That game company?
Yes.
On first?
Yes. Which one?
Yeah.
Yes, and Sky Children of the Light, incredibly disappointing.
What is it?
You're a Children of the Light and you fly around the sky. I don't know.
I like Child of Light.
Is that the one that
looks
looks like Discount Hyperlight Drifter for the box art?
I don't.
The box art kind of looks the same.
It's a mobile game.
Thumbnail. You know what I mean? I'm old. I just call it
I don't know what
thumbnail
you're
box
talking
art.
about. It is Journey if you monetized it, and it's terrible.
Journey was cool, man.
That's the most heartbreaking thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It sucks.
Yeah.
My personal
It's like
pick,
Journey, but it's like everything is like a big bout of like, what do they call the sinking sand? Quicksand? You pay $10 to get out of quicksand?
my personal
Are you going to
pick
say fucking Call of Duty
is
Mobile?
Call of Duty.
God damn it.
No.
That's your personal
All right.
pick?
My
No,
personal
it's
pick
probably Sayonara.
is Grindstone.
Oh, you have Apple Plus, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
Grindstone is phenomenal.
Apple Arcade.
Apple Arcade.
I said Apple Plus again, sorry.
Just
I played
phenomenal.
Call of Duty Mobile for about 5-10 minutes.
Call of Duty Mobile sucks.
It's okay. But it's just...
It's the best shooter on a platform that you should not play shooters on.
Sure. Yeah, I can agree with that.
And that's why my vote for what will win is Call of Duty Mobile.
It's Call of Duty Mobile? Because China?
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
My
That's a good guess.
personal vote, because it's nowhere else, is What the Golf, because that game is so fucking
It's
funny.
so funny. I love it.
It is incredible. And if you don't know what we're talking about, I highly suggest you watch the Giant Bomb video where they play it. Because that was my first introduction to it, and it's just, they showcase it
So in a
incredibly.
similar
really
vein
do.
to Randy's whole rant,
Okay.
I picked Grindstone because Grindstone cannot be played on another platform.
Right,
It is
fair.
a mobile game through and through. What the Golf,
can
I
play with.
wish I had played it on another platform.
yeah,
Although it is very easy
There is a
to
Switch
control.
version coming out. It's on the
Yeah.
Epic Store, but yeah.
It's easy enough to control with touch controls or a mouse. It seems like you could go either way.
But that's a very, very close second, but I'm going to give it to Grindstone personally. And I'm actually going to say Sayonara Wild Hearts for my what I think will win.
You think the Darling
Yes.
will come out with that one?
For those of you who don't know, Grindstone, it's a match game, kind of.
Match 3?
Not match 3. So
Match
the way
4?
it works is a bunch of enemies will fall down the screen and they're in a grid like a Bejeweled or whatever. And you're a dude at the bottom of the screen with a sword. And you have to trace enemies of the same color around the screen.
Okay.
And then the more you kill, you get grindstones, and then those grindstones will fall on the map. And then you can, if you hit a grindstone, you can change color enemies to the point where you're just killing everybody on the map at once. There's a lot of very nuanced mechanics to it that I don't feel like explaining. That's the basics of it. It is very well done, and it has a ton of personality and some really great art. Also,
Nice.
shout out to Cards of Darkness, which
It's a
is
good name.
another match game. The art in that game is done by Pendleton Ward.
Oh, no way. Never really get mentioned.
And that
Yes.
is a very cool game as well.
Is that on Apple Arcade?
That's our Apple Arcade.
Okay.
So the one game I want to highlight in this category that I didn't think I had any chance of winning, but it made me cry, so I'm going to mention it anyway,
Aw.
is called Assemble with Care.
Okay.
It
I have
is
heard of this.
by Us Two Games, the people that made Monument Valley, and it is
That's a
you
cool game.
play a mechanic, a traveling mechanic, and you go to this town, and people come to you with their objects, and you fix them. And so somebody will be like, "This clock doesn't work," and you have to like take it apart, find the broken part, get a new part, put it in. But like the story around it is very, very cute and adorable, and the music is very well done.
That's nice. It's a shame to see that not.
It's very short, takes about an hour to beat. If you have Apple Arcade or were thinking about starting your month trial, I highly recommend playing it. I don't think it's available anywhere but Apple Arcade, but it is very cute.
Okay, now we're on to, so this is going to be everybody's favorite trendy category, virtual reality, or AR/VR game, for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. Not quite the knockout punches we got last year. I think last year we talked about, what was it? It was Tetris and Astrobot and Moss and Firewall and all this stuff. But the nominations are Asgard's Wrath, Blood and Truth, Beat Saber, No Man's Sky, which we talked about that update on our recap, and Trover Saves the Universe. Am I the only one that has played some of these? I'm just
I've
curious.
played No Man's Sky and Beat Saber.
Okay. How about you, Austin? What have you played on here?
I've played No Man's Sky not in VR, and I've played Beat Saber. And I've watched people play Blood is Truth and Trover. I don't know what Asgard Wrath is.
Yeah, that's the one I'm least familiar with, I would say.
Personal and pick for winner. What do you mean? Same for me. That's Beat Saber.
Beat
Same
Saber?
for me as well.
Really?
Yep.
I actually think Beat Saber is overrated, but I think it is.
You do.
I think it is. I think it's like
rhythm game snob.
I am a rhythm game snob. I think it is likely going to win. I think there are better music and VR games out there, and that fucking game needs a less tired aesthetic and soundtrack. There are too many of those.
Woof, dude.
Yeah.
Blood and Truth
Guys know how to have fun.
Blood and Truth was cool. I finished it. I think it did end up kind of losing a little bit of its charm and momentum towards the end. Like out of the gate, I think it felt, it struck a little harder. But because I really liked that proof of concept demo, that London heist.
Are all three of us saying Beat Saber?
For what's going to win?
Prediction?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're also going to hate me because I honestly thought Trover was the most interesting of all of these.
Yeah, well, you know how you are a rhythm game snob? I'm a Justin Roiland snob.
I understand if the humor doesn't always work for you.
I love a lot of things that he's made.
I know.
It's just getting so tired for me.
It's just the things that they play with in that game with respect to VR is.
I haven't played.
I know.
So.
It's very clever.
Yeah.
I like that your character literally comes from a species of people that don't ever get up out of their chairs, and that's why you play the game sitting down. Like I think that's pretty funny.
I haven't played Trover because of how much I was not a fan of accounting.
I was not a huge fan of accounting either.
Yeah. So
this is much more realized than just vignettes.
I understand that.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of subversions in it that I think are fun. But yeah, my pick is that Beat Saber is going to win.
Cool. We all agree Beat Saber is the best VR game.
That's not what I said.
And it does sound like that's what we did just say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just move on.
Name one song off the soundtrack. Do any of you remember? No.
Yeah, electronic track number 3 where I swung my cool sabers around. You
It's all the most forgettable fucking
That
shit.
Panic at the Disco song.
That's not
Death
on
of a
it.
Bachelor. It's a DLC song.
Is it really?
Yes.
Well, now I don't want to. So I think that's where we are going to leave it for today.
Because Randy talks too much. That's why.
We
Jesus
all talk too
fucking
much. I just maybe talk the most.
I never said a word that whole time. That was Randy doing his
we
best
originally-
impression.
Tell me what you think about Outer Wilds again.
The idea obviously was to do it like we did our E3 special where we just sat at my house and got drunk and talked for 3 hours. And granted, I think we could still do that here, but I honestly think we might push longer than 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have some.
That would be a long
4
podcast
hour,
to listen
exactly.
to. So yeah, in the intro, I said that this was going to drop on the 6th. We decided to push things up, and we're going to put this out on the 29th. This is going to be our first part, and then we're going to come back next week on the 6th and get through the rest of these categories, including the heavy hitters of direction and game of the year.
We'll come back with all the genres and some of the esports shit, and then, obviously, drum roll,
multiplayer.
game of the year.
And but stick with us and play some of the stuff we mentioned. And,
Yeah, now you got time to play fucking Baba's You. Go
Yeah,
play it.
exactly.
Yeah, go play it.
Yeah,
Because it's going to come up again, goddamn.
it is.
Let me do some plugs.
Yeah, dude, toss up some plugs.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to hear part 2 a week from now, you can find us on Hot Button Cast, along with the rest of our episodes, talking about some of the franchises we've mentioned.
It's hotbuttoncast.com, right?
Hotbuttoncast.com.
Not .gov, like everybody keeps requesing.
I thought it was
done.
I thought it was .game.
Yeah.
No.
We couldn't get that one, huh?
No. I think that was more expensive than .com. a little behind the curtain. You can also find links to everywhere you can listen to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, or any other podcast app that you have. You can also find links to all of our social medias, which we will be updating with information about the podcast going forward and stuff like that. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Hot Button Cast. And we'll be back next week with part 2 of our Game Awards coverage. Part 2 of 3.
Yeah, you can hear me talk about Tetris.
Part 2 of 3.
Yeah, because we're doing one after 2.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.